ride at Universal's Islands of Adventure in Orlando, Florida, from worst to best. So we're actually going to go through each one, and I'm going to give you my personal ranking on which ride is the absolute best, which one's the absolute worst, and I'm also going to tell you how long I would personally wait for these rides if there was a line. Now, I want to just clarify, there's two rides I'm not going to include in my ranking. Number one is the Hogwarts Express. This is a train that goes back and forth between the parks. It's really not a ride. It's just a transportation system. You could totally just walk. It's cool. If you love Harry Potter, you should experience it once, but it's not like a fun ride. It's just literally sit in a train, move 20 feet, and watch a screen. It's cool. It's awesome, but it's not a ride in my opinion, so I didn't include that. And then the other one is Pteranodon Flyers, which is a kiddie ride, and you have to be a certain size and age to ride it, or have a kid that's that size and age, and I've never gotten the opportunity to ride it. Seems kind of cool, but never had a chance to ride it, so I can't include it in my rankings. But with all that aside, let's get right to the rankings, starting with number 15. My least favorite ride that I'm ranking today at Islands of Adventure is Storm Force Acceleration. Storm Force Acceleration is a teacup ride. It's literally just a teacup ride with some superhero theming. And to be honest, I just don't like teacup rides. They make me incredibly sick every time I ride one. And so I just can't rank it highly. I don't like it. If you love teacup rides, you'll probably like this. But as someone who loathes them, I can't get on board. I give it a 0. And I would say I wouldn't wait 5 minutes for it. I wouldn't ride it at all. I just won't ride it because I'll get sick. I've ridden it once. I got sick. So it's a pass for me. So let's move right into number 14. Keep it moving. Number 14 is One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish. This is in the Dr. Seuss area, and it's another kind of kiddie ride. It's an aerial carousel ride. You kind of go up and down and in a circle. It's all right. It's cute. Little kids like it. There's little water spouts that shoot out at you. You know, nothing really exciting to write home about, but it's an okay ride. It's like not offensive, but it's not really fun either. Great ride if you want to take your 3-year-old or 4-year-old on it, but for me, it doesn't rank highly. Cool theming though. Okay, and staying in Dr. Seuss area, the Dr. Seuss area, we're going to put our next ride, number 13, The Cat in the Hat. This one does have some nostalgia for me, which, you know, makes it something I will ride from time to time. I won't wait more than 5 minutes for it. I just won't. If it says any more than 5 minutes, I just am not going to get on it. But if it's a walk-on, especially if it's raining out and I'm looking for something to do, because Islands of Adventures has very few rides open when it's raining, I will go in Cat in the Hat. If it was my first time there, I would want to experience it, especially if I had nostalgia for that book or that movie. And so I would say I could see myself waiting 30 minutes. Nowadays, 5 minutes. But if it was my only time coming to the park, I'd probably wait up to 30, because it is cute, especially if you have a kid. And I didn't say how much I'd wait for One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish. If I had a little kid who couldn't ride most of the rides at Islands, it would change this, but I don't. So I would say probably 10 minutes would be the most I'd wait for it. Up next is another one in Dr. Seuss Land. There's actually 2 more in Dr. Seuss Land, which actually messes up my numbering because I forgot to give a number. But we'll say 12B. 12B. The next lowest on my list is the carousel over in Dr. Seuss Land. This is just a carousel. They're fun. They don't bother me. It's really cutely themed, great for children. It's just not something I rank very highly, and a lot of times I just don't go on it. I generally won't wait more than 10 minutes for this, and my kid has to really want to go on it to get me to go on it. So let's just skip right past it to number 12, real 12, as opposed to 12B, and that's the High in the Sky Seuss Trolley. This is a fun ride. It goes up high. Again, all these rides are in Dr. Seuss Land because they're all kind of kiddie rides, and they just don't thrill me that much. But if you have a kid, this is where you're going to spend most of your time at this park, so you might as well get used to it. The High in the Sky Seuss Trolley is an elevated train ride. You get to see some pretty cool views around the park. You hear some little rhymes like Dr. Seuss style, and they're fine. The theming is pretty decent. It's nice because of the views of the better rides. You can see Velocicoaster and the Hulk and all these other cool rides. While you're riding around, you can see all the people down there in the park. So I think that's, kind of fun. It's cute. I would ride this. I would probably wait up to 30 minutes if it was my first time at the park. I've actually still waited up to 30 minutes if I was really feeling like getting on this. 30 minutes is probably a good number. Again, if you only have little kids and there's very few things you can ride at this park, I'd see myself waiting an hour because what else are you going to ride? So let's move on to number 11. Number 11 at Islands of Adventures, my number 11 ranked ride is the Skull Island Reign of Kong. This ride is a bus basically that you get, like a safari vehicle you get on. Sometimes it goes outside and then it comes back inside, and there's like a bunch of screens similar to the Fast and the Furious ride over at Universal Studios. But this one I would say is a little bit better than Fast and the Furious, primarily because of the outside section. And then at the very end, there's an amazing animatronic of King Kong that really is stellar. And you could ride the ride just to see that. The problem is the ride gets really long lines and they're not worth it. I often see 120-minute waits, and I wouldn't wait more than 30 minutes for this ride, maybe 40 if I was like desperate to get on it, but generally it's like a 30-minute wait for me. It's okay, it's fun, there's some cool moments, but it's mostly just a motion simulator with safari ride packaging over it. So that's my number 11, Skull Island Reign of Kong. Let's move up to number 10. So we're in the top 10 now. This is where they start getting really good. Number 10 is Popeyes and Plutos Bilge Rat Barges. Is that how you say it? This is a water ride. You are going to get absolutely soaked if you go on this ride. Here's my recommendation. If you want to do these rides, bring a spare pair of socks and maybe even a spare pair of underpants in your backpack so that after you get off this ride, you can be comfortable. Because if you don't, you're going to end up getting chafing and your feet are going to be all sopping wet all day, and it's just not going to be good. Actually, bring some flip-flops that you can put on when you go on the ride so that your sneakers stay dry. There's an idea. But if you don't mind getting wet, this ride is super fun. It's hilarious seeing your family get wet, your friends get wet. Even the strangers getting wet is fun to watch. So I really do enjoy this ride. And if you're in the mood for it, it can just be exactly what you need, especially on a hot Florida day. So Popeyes and Plutos, number 10, fantastic ride. I would wait. You usually don't have to wait more than 30 or 40 minutes, maybe on a super hot day, 40. But I would wait up to 45 minutes on a hot day. But generally, you're going to see shorter wait times for it than that. Up next, number 9 for me is the Flight of the Hippogriff, which is technically a kiddie coaster by Vekoma, but it's actually pretty fun and it feels pretty fast in moments. It's also got the Harry Potter theming. I do love all sorts of coasters, and this is a great one, better than the old Woodstock Express they used to have at Universal Studios Florida. And with the theming and stuff, especially if you have a kid, this is a great one. This is one where you could wait up to 45 minutes or an hour with your little one and not regret it, because it's really cute and fun, and also has some like little intense moments. It's a kiddie coaster, but it's a great kiddie coaster. That's why it's my number 9. Moving right on to number 8 is Jurassic Park The Ride. This is it's actually Jurassic Park River Adventure. And this is a fun one because of the inside section. A water ride again, but you don't get as wet. It's one of the least wet water rides. You can get pretty wet, you can get soaked, but in general, it's not that wet of a ride. And it's got this really great theming, a big Tyrannosaurus Rex animatronic in it. You've got other dinosaurs that you can see as you're going through. You go through the gates, welcome to Jurassic Park gates. It's a really nice themed water ride, and that's what makes it above Pluto's Bilge barges. It's not actually the ride itself, and the drop I don't think are as fun as going down the rapids of the Bilge barge, but I do think the theming is what brings it over the top. And there is a nice drop, but it's not that scary or intense of a drop. It's just a drop. So it's good, but it's not like amazing. So that's why I give it number 8. Okay, so let's move right on to number 7. For me, number 7, my 7th favorite ride at Islands of Adventure is The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man. This is a 3D dark ride. It's very much like Transformers over at Universal Studios Orlando. It's very much like the Justice League ride at most Six Flags parks in the USA, where it kind of combines a moving vehicle with screens, with 3D glasses, and some actual physical elements, which make it really fun. If you love Spider-Man, this is going to be a great ride. This does have re-rideability issues, just like Transformers, where, you know, after your 5th or 6th ride, it's like, I've kind of seen this. Like, do I really need to get on it again? So the amount you're willing to wait drops precipitously the more you go on it. Now I'm willing to wait about 15 minutes for Spider-Man. But when I first went to the park, I waited an hour and 20 minutes for Spider-Man, and I didn't even regret it that much. So it kind of depends on where you're at. It's a cool ride. It's a cool experience. I will say, I think 60 to 80 minutes is an okay wait time if it's your first time, especially if you're not coming back to the park anytime soon. But if it's 120, I would check Transformers over at the other park and maybe go over to the other park and ride Transformers twice, because it's kind of the same ride, just with different characters. So you ride one, you ride the other, kind of. Okay, let's move on to number 6. Number 6 for me is the Incredible, and people are going to be bothered by this, but it's the Incredible Hulk coaster. I love roller coasters, but this coaster is so intense that I can't rank it higher than 6th. It makes me gray out every time. I think it's called the pretzel loop. Every time I ride it, my eyes go gray. I can't see, and I don't like that feeling. It gives me anxiety. And so by the time I finish the Incredible Hulk coaster, I feel like my heart's going to explode and I'm going to die. And so therefore, I can't rank it that highly, even though it is a really fun ride. And if I could separate myself from the gray out and the anxiety that the gray out causes, I think it would be ranked way higher. But the gray out freaks me out every time. And therefore, I'm putting it at number 6. This is a B&M invert. I do love B&M inverts. It goes 67 miles an hour. I think it's got 7 inversions, 7 times that you flip. So it's crazy intense. I think it's the most intense coaster in all of Florida, really. This is a lot of people's favorite rides in the park. So if you love intense coasters, this is probably going to be your favorite ride at Islands of Adventures. For me, and I do like intense coasters, like Fury 325 over at Carowinds goes 90 miles an hour. Love it. It's just something about the graying out and the flipping combined that just kind of great ride, great coaster, but can't put it much higher than 6th on my list, and some of the ones above it are going to bother some people. But I'm not like a coaster only guy. I love coasters, but I also love every kind of ride, so I'm okay with putting other rides ahead of it. And that's why at number 5 I put Dr. Doom's Fear Fall, which I know it's just an S&S shot tower that shoots you up, but it's so fun. S&S shot towers, even though they're small, there's just this really intense shoot up moment right at the beginning. It's a drop tower, right? But it doesn't like slowly bring you up then drop you. It shoots you up really fast and then goes up and down several times. And I just love that shoot up moment on the Dr. Doom's Fear Fall. And it almost never has more than a 10-minute wait. So I get to ride it like every time I go there, which really makes me love it even more. I probably wouldn't wait more than a half hour for this because it's like a 10-second experience, but it is a really fun one that usually has no line, and I can re-ride it a couple times. So that's why Dr. Doom's Fearfall is my number 5 ride at Islands of Adventure. Comment down below about the rage that you're feeling right now, and we will move to number 4, which will also cause rage, Dudley Do-Right's Ripsaw Falls. Again, this is in a world where we don't mind getting wet. It's got like 5 drops. It's got a really cool storyline. It's got all types of great theming. It's 5 minutes long. It just keeps going up and down and all this other stuff. I don't even know if it has 5 drops. I said 5 drops, but I'm not actually sure. It's got several drops, 3 to 5. I can't remember the number. I think I was mixing it up with 5 minutes. But either way, Dudley Do-Right's Ripsaw Falls, if you don't mind getting wet, is a fantastic water ride. Probably my favorite log flume ride I've ever been on because of the theming and just everything else about it. I think it's fantastic, and I can't recommend it more if you're willing to get wet at the park. Let's move into the top 3. This is where the rides get, like, can't miss. Oh, as far as Dudley Do-Right, I've waited up to an hour still at this point. Even though I've been on it a bunch of times, I've waited up to an hour for it. So, there, especially on a hot day, I mean, on a hot day, you'll wait an hour and a half for that ride. So top 3, and this one, not a lot of people, some people don't like this ride, but for me, number 3 is Harry Potter's Forbidden Journey. This one takes place in the Hogwarts castle. I love Harry Potter. I love this ride. There's some really cool elements. The ride vehicles tilt you like all the way back, so you feel like you're falling out. You get the Whomping Willow there trying to hit you. You've got Dementors and spiders, and it's just such a cool moment. There's just so many cool moments that are really capturing the essence of Hogwarts and Harry Potter that I have to give it my number 3. A lot of people get nauseous at the screen segments, so my recommendation, and I have to do this myself sometimes, is when you get into an area with a screen, because there's only 2 areas of the screen and they're not that long, just close your eyes, right? Close your eyes if you start getting sick, and then open them as soon as you get out of the screen and enjoy the actual physical elements of the ride, like the Dementors and stuff like that. So I think that since the nausea can be avoided, I'm going to leave it at number 3. I really love this ride. I would wait, especially if I was the first time going to the park, I'd wait up to 2 hours for it. Now let's move on to number 2. Top 2. Once you hear number 2, you'll know number 1, and number 2 might surprise you. Number 1 might surprise you, but I think a lot of people switch between these. For me, number 2 is Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventures. This is a fantastic ride. I think Intamin made this one. I think a lot of Intamin stuff is at this park, but Intamin made this one. It's got 7 launches. It's got a drop track. It's got a part in the dark. It goes backwards. It goes forwards. It's got all types of cool theming, the monsters, the magical creatures. It's got Hagrid, voiced by Robbie Coltrane. Just so many great things as a Harry Potter fan. Plus, it's also an excellent coaster. So it's got everything you need. The ride vehicles are unique because you can either sit in the motorcycle position or in the side cart. I actually prefer the side cart, but most people like the motorcycle better. It's up to you. Just an absolutely fantastic ride, guys. Can't recommend it enough. I love Hagrid's Magical Creatures. I have and still will wait up to 2 hours for this ride. Lately, I've been getting lucky. I've gone several times and had a 60-minute or less wait, which is rare. A lot of people say go there first when you get to the park. I totally disagree with that advice. If you're going to Universal, do not start at Hagrid's. The longest wait you will have for that ride is right at park open for early park admission. I've done it. Trust me, I've waited 2.5 hours. If you go and this is risky because of afternoon storms, but really 5 p.m. is the time I like to go to Hagrid. All the way up till close, because once you get in the line, they'll let you stay until you ride it. So if you want, you could wait until, let's say the park closes at 9, get in the line at 8:45, and then just, it's the last thing you do. It doesn't take up any of your park time. So that's kind of what I suggest doing if you're willing to wait till the end of the day. The only problem is if storms roll in, the ride could shut down and you might miss it. So if you really want to ride it and you're only there for one day, go wait the stupid 3 hours in the morning. I've done it. I get it. It's still worth it. But the only reason that this ranks lower than my number 1 is because the backwards section gives me a stomachache. Every time it makes me a little nauseous, and that's why it's number 2 for me, not number 1. Number 1 is Velocicoaster. Jurassic World Velocicoaster. This is an amazing Intamin launch coaster. It reminds me of Maverick over at Cedar Point in Ohio. Just a fantastic ride. It's got 2 launches, 70 miles an hour, 155 feet tall. And then there's this roll, I think they call it the Mosasaurus roll at the end, where you go completely upside down over water and you feel like you're falling out, which is just the most spectacular sensation you can have. This ride is excellent. It's an intense roller coaster. If you don't like roller coasters, you're not going to like this. But if you like coasters, this ride is fantastic. It does everything Hulk does, but better. Right? It's got that intensity, but it doesn't make you sick. It's got that speed, but it doesn't make you feel like a headache. It's not shaky or anything like that. The best ride I ever had on it was when there was threats of storms coming and me and my kids get on it. And as we're leaving, they're like, you're about to get wet. And everyone was laughing because it had just started to downpour right as we're leaving the station. Right? And we ride this thing 70 miles an hour, the rain pelting our face, just cracking up so hard because it's so fast, so intense, so fun. And we get in and we're just we're crying, laughing because this ride is just so fun. And they closed down the ride right after that because of lightning. We got the last ride of the day. But just so many memories have been made for me on this coaster that I would easily wait 2 hours for this. 2.5. You almost never have to. Usually 90 minutes is the longest you're going to wait. But this ride is fantastic. You should totally prioritize this ride. This one is the one I would do if I'm at Islands. I'd go straight to Velocicoaster before I went to Hagrid's. And that's just the way. And then I'd do Hagrid's in the evening. So Velocicoaster, my favorite ride at Islands of Adventure. But that's just me. You could have a totally different opinion. I want to hear it. Comment down below. Let me know what your favorite ride is at Islands of Adventure. And make sure you come back next time. We're going to do some vlogs from the theme parks. We're going to do some live streams. I'm going to rank my favorite Halloween Horror Nights houses of 2023, haunted houses of 2023. And we're going to have just some fun on this channel. If you like it, guys, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.